Count down to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Count down to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
Well, it's another great Saturday morning. Any way you look at it, I don't know about you, but it's cold. That's right, cold right here in Pensacola, Florida. Florida doesn't have cold weather. Well, or so they say, you know, but today is a beautiful day. It's in the 40s. It has been in the teens, and I can tell you, when you have to leave your water running, gosh, I don't know, like North Dakota, how in the world can people survive? I guess they have to just brace up and prepare. Oh, how about that? Fancy that. Just like your automobile. Now I got it. Automobiles, preparation, maintenance, taking care and being proactive with your automobile, that is what saving money and keeping your car in your garage warm in your garage is all about. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you today in part by O'Reilly Auto Parts. When it gets cold, like it is now, your vehicle needs some extra attention. O'Reilly Auto Parts has everything you need to keep your vehicle toasty warm. From choosing the right antifreeze for your engine to replacing your windshield wiper blades, O'Reilly will help get your car or truck in fighting shape for the cold winter that we're going through. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Your calls at 888-227-2546. That's 227-2546. Hannah will take your call, put you in the queue, and I will put you on the air. I'm Bobby Likis. Likis, you'll love us. Folks, being car care aware is important all year round, but winter is an especially critical time as harsher conditions can put strains on your vehicle. Here are a few items to check, courtesy of the Car Care Council. Your vehicle's tires keep you rolling down the proverbial highway. This time of year, it's smart to check tread depth before driving on icy roads, and you may want to consider special winter tires. Check tire pressure weekly during the winter, as every 10-degree drop in temperature causes a 1-pound decrease in tire pressure. Check your exhaust system for carbon monoxide leaks, as windows are more likely to be closed during this time of year. It's also a great idea to keep your gas tank half full, as this will help avoid moisture buildup in the gas lines, which could ultimately freeze this time of year. For more great tips, videos, and recommended service schedules, visit carcare.org. And while you're there, order your free copy of the Car Care Guide for your glove compartment. That's carcare.org. Car repairs get expensive, and most of us don't have spare money for them. That's where brands like K-Seal can really be a lifesaver. If you've had a car with a coolant leak, you know how expensive it can be. It's not usually the newer, higher-dollar vehicles that have leaks. It's the older vehicles, say $900 to $2,000 range, the cars we depend on for daily transportation and other vital tasks. If you're experiencing a coolant leak and the repair cost exceeds the value of your car, you don't necessarily have to take your car off the road. Try using K-Seal. We've seen our share of these in our shop where, before K-Seal, once a diagnosis was made of a leaking intake gasket, radiator, heater core, or head gasket, the car was sent for recycling and the owner had to purchase another. Before giving it up, try K-Seal. It's a pour-in solution that just may allow you to keep your car longer without spending more on repairs than the car is worth. Find K-Seal at automotive retailers everywhere and get more information at kseal.com. That's kseal.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow, now you're here. Your aroma helps me wake and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And good morning. Welcome to this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. So how was your week? How was your car for you? And I think my question would be better voiced at how were you for your car? Cars are really mysteriously and technologically advanced. I say mysteriously because a lot of times you have an engine problem or a performance problem with maybe a transmission or maybe a differential or maybe a tire pressure monitoring switch or sensor. Those sensors are, for the most part, the direct tire pressure monitoring sensors use a little sender assembly, a little pinging device that is mounted on the valve stem of your car, just where you put the air in. Well, inside it looks like like a miniature golf the head of a golf club. Yeah, that's about what it looks like. It's about maybe a third the size of a putter. Let's see, a quarter the size of a putter, and it is constructed so that it's part of the valve stem, so that when you look at your car's tire, the next time you go out and you check your tires, or if you ever have to put air in your tires, the little round thing that you take the cap off and put the air in, well, when it goes through the wheel, it's sealed, of course, or it would leak where it goes through the wheel. There's an O-ring, a seal there. And not only that, but inside then it's attached to a little T-handle, like you wind up a clock. That's what it looks like on the inside. And inside that miniature golf club T-handle that I'm talking about, which is part of the stem itself, is a battery. No, it's not replaceable. You have to replace the sensor. And I've often wondered, or at least this question's been posed to me by several people, why don't they just make it so you can replace the battery versus having to buy a new sensor? Because some of those sensors can cost $60 to $80. I mean, and the reason for that is if you were to have a compartment that would open inside the wheel, and the violence of the wheel turning and spinning and hitting bumps, I'm sure that it would ultimately come apart. And so they just make the unit as a sealed unit within itself. And I think that's a better way to design it. Obviously, it costs more money, but in the long run, if you think about it, the amount of money that, and when tire pressure monitor sensors first came out, my opinion was, being the car guy that I am, well, people should check their tires, or at least their shop should check their tires. They shouldn't need someone to ping them and say, oh, you have a low tire here. I mean, there's enough check engine lights on the car as it is. I mean, the check engine is, I say check engine, the trouble code, the MIL, which is the illumination lamp that comes on and lets you know that you have a problem with whatever. And I say whatever because you can leave the gas cap loose and the light will come on. You can have an emissions problem and the light will come on. You can have a bad catalytic converter and the light would come on. So in my initial thoughts of why do we need tire pressure monitoring systems to be mandated to be on all cars, why would that be? Well, when you think about the gas that's used and the cost to you, to me, to us as consumers and car owners, then it becomes evident that indeed tire pressure is a crucial part of a rolling resistance. So much so, I don't know if you know this or not, But years ago, when they started to design tires, and I say started, as they do every year, to come out with something new and better, and which is what we are all accustomed to, like a computer. I mean, you buy a new computer, the first thing you do is plug it in and update it. I recently purchased a Fire Stick TV, and the first thing that I did was to check, and sure enough, there was an upgrade, and even the remote control had an upgrade. And so all of these technological devices that we use and we enjoy, especially with our automobiles these days, make it easier for us to maintain that automobile because we have other things to think about than, well, is my tire low? So I now, as you can tell, have flipped not 180, because I never was against the tire pressure. I was just felt that you should take care of your own tire pressure, or your shop should. And now that we have TPMS tire pressure monitoring systems that are on cars, what a great device that is. And once the car manufacturer installs that device, then they just can make another million cars, or 10 million, or whatever, with that device on it. And then we come up with yet another device. Well, let's just talk about another device. Collision avoidance or airbag deployment from the rear. So Toyota came out with, on their Lexus cars, as I remember, several years ago, a new updated rear sensor. Now, they already had the parking sensor, and you already had the sensors to help you park and back up and those sorts of things, and backup cameras as well. But that sensor is connected to an airbag that is above the head of the rear passenger's compartment, so that if a rear crash is imminent, if you're stopped at a traffic light and a rear crash occurs, think about this, nothing occurs instantaneously. I mean, the car is impending, it's not slowing down, it's going to crash, and your car senses that, wait a minute, there's something it's just like at nighttime. If you've ever gotten up in the middle of the night to get water or whatever, you sense that there's a door there, and sometimes you don't. You run into a door. I mean, we've all had that happen. Well, your car has that sense. It uses radar. It uses proximity sensors, and so in doing that, as the imminent crash as it occurs, or just before it gets into stages, and the stage could be the touching of the crash. I mean, you have to touch something before you can hit it. So you touch it, but you haven't impacted yet. At that particular time, the car reacts so fast that it deploys the airbag that deploys before the touch can become a crash. Now, that happens a lot faster than what I can talk, but think about it. And so that's how fast that airbag deploys. And in doing so, it protects the rear occupants that are seated in the rear seat. Another great tool, and another interesting part of the cars that we drive today, is the automatic door unlock. And the reason that I share this with you, multiple reasons, but twofold. One, I want you to know that when you take your car to a shop for a simple repair, it's not necessarily a simple repair any longer. And so here's an example of what you think and what used to be a simple repair. You go out and unlock your door. We do that every day. The key fob, right? And you unlock it, you push it once, and of course the car can be programmed, and you can do this yourself, by the way. Just read the owner's manual. Push the unlock button one time, and the driver's door pops up. Well, the rest of the doors don't unlock. Well, why do they do that? Well, by default, when the car is made new and delivered to you, it's in two-stage unlocking. The first stage is you unlock the driver's door, and then you have to push the unlock again to unlock the rest of the doors. Why? That's made that way so that if you're coming out to a parking lot and you feel that someone's chasing you, or someone is going to jump in your car, and you want to get in your car to get protection, and you push the button to unlock, it unlocks the driver's door only so that if there is some danger there, someone can't get in with you. Now, it's an inconvenience, so on my car, I take two-stage away, and you can read the owner's manual, and it'll tell you how to do that. So that when you push the unlock button, it unlocks all the doors. So that's and my explanation of why they made that. Now, let's go a step further. Let's say you're in a crash. Of course, you're driving down the road, the doors lock automatically, right? So they're locked. You don't have to worry about that. But if you're in a crash and you're unconscious and your doors are locked and you're sitting there and the first responder comes up and wants to open a door and save you and get you out of this car, the door's locked. Well, the first responder can't get in. So what would they have to do? He or she, they'd have to break a glass to get in, which is no big deal. Except, what if you have passengers, and by breaking a glass, they could, hurt someone, injure someone. So in a crash, and when the airbag is deployed, the doors of your vehicle are automatically unlocked by the computer. So that when we have to replace one of those door lock actuators, let's say that that doesn't work any longer, the driver's door, which is the one that gets the most exercise, obviously, and we have to replace that unit. We put a new unit in your vehicle doesn't recognize that unit because it was connected to the old one, because when if a crash occurred, the computer had to unlock that door. When you put a new unlocker in there and it doesn't recognize it. Well, I'm gonna take a break and I'm gonna come back and share that rest of that story with you and take a call from Kansas. Today's vehicles have more than 150 electrical accessories for safety, comfort, and sustainability, 7 times the number 20 years ago. Only AGM batteries are precision engineered to meet this electrical demand by reliably supporting backup cameras, start-stop technology, and many other devices. AGM batteries have longer life than standard flooded batteries and will not spill acid during installation or during an accident. When you need a new battery, insist on an AGM battery to meet today's evolving electrical needs.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
I have another vehicle repair to spotlight. A 99 Jeep Cherokee came into the shop recently with a P0303 misfire fault on cylinder number 3. The misfire was erratic, which made diagnosing the problem more difficult. Other shops had thrown parts at it, installing new plug wires, plugs, fuel injector, and some technical service bulletin updates. Nothing worked. We used a borescope, a type of inside-the-engine camera, to inspect the number 3 cylinder, and sure enough saw heavy carbon deposits around the exhaust valve. No traditional cleaner will work on a carbonized exhaust valve. Enter Berryman Products B12 Chem Tool Fuel System Cleaner. We removed the plug, brought the piston around so the exhaust valve was just opening, and filled the cylinder with Berryman B12 Chem Tool Fuel System Cleaner. After an overnight soak, we siphoned out the chemical and replaced the plug. Now, several weeks since the repair, and no reported problems, thanks to Berryman. Find more automotive repair and maintenance solutions at berrymanproducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
I'm 98.
Higher.
Higher, 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you, Marty White. Welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Let me finish my story, and then we'll take a call from Kansas and then from Texas, and your calls at 2546. 227-2546. So here's the moral of the story. We replaced a door lock actuator on a Lexus. A door lock actuator only goes up or down, up and down. It only needs 3 wires: a ground, a hot on the upside, or a hot on the downside. Not at the same time, of course. So why then does a door lock actuator have 6 wires? A 6-wire connector? Really? Because that door lock actuator isn't controlled by the button that you push. When you push, or the key fob, if you're in the car and you put it unlock or lock, you're not sending voltage to the door lock. You're sending a request, just like when you unlock the door, a request for the door to unlock. That request goes to, if you're outside the car, it goes to a security module. The security module says, okay, you're the right key fob. You know, we don't want to be hacked here, right? You're the right key fob. You passed the test. So then that module sends a signal to the body control module, which controls almost everything within the car, the body, and it says, okay, it's okay to unlock the door. So that body control module then sends voltage and connects the battery to the door lock actuator and unlocks the door. All that in a flick of a switch. And so that's why when we replaced the door lock actuator itself on a Lexus, we had to initiate or introduce that door lock actuator to the car. It's called reprogram. Really? And so what? Well, the reprogramming tool is $6,000. So here we put in a piece that, for all intents and purposes, used to cost $100, and the job was $500. Or $6, because the actuator is not the cost that it used to be. The labor to get to it is buried because the car is designed so that a burglar can't put the tool down and unlock the door. There's shields in there, and you have to get to that part. You have to take the window out. It's like, really? So those sorts of things, designs, are for convenience and for safety and for anti-burglar use, but it really costs more to go in there and replace that part. So I want you to understand that so that you can have a better connection. And when somebody says, well, what's it going to take to fix my door lock? It's just a button. The button doesn't work. Well, it's not the button at all. There's a lot that goes on when you hit the button. Let's go to Kansas and take a call from Wally. Wally, good morning. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
Well, good morning. My wife has a 2013 Tundra with a V8, and the transmission the other day, about 2 weeks ago, she was going down the highway, probably 65, and it automatically shifted into four-wheel drive low, which the tachometer went way high, and she drove it slowly then into the dealer, and we have an extended warranty on it, and they called the warranty company, and they tore it apart, and they replaced the solenoid. And it wouldn't shift with the solenoid, and testing it, it wouldn't shift out of third. And the warranty company said, will you show us what's broken, and we'll put a new transmission in. Well, they couldn't, and they replaced all the fluids and flushed it, and then it would shift out of third, and they sent it home with her. And a couple days ago, it did it again. And the warranty company says, you show us where it's broken, we'll put a transmission in. And they can't do that. And they're replacing another solenoid, and we're kind of losing faith in everybody.
Well, it's ironic, Wally, that you should call me with this event, because just across the highway from our facility is Comfort Dental, which, by the way, has a fantastic crew and a team there. And one of the doctors that is a partner there has as I remember, a Lexus four-wheel drive vehicle. I'm not sure what, it's a big car. And he brought that vehicle in with the identical same complaint. and we spent half a day on that vehicle, and we tested the solenoid, the very solenoid that you're talking about.
Right.
And we could not condemn it. The challenge was it would never do for us what it did for him. And he says, let me tell you something. He said, I'm driving down the highway 55 miles an hour, and this car goes into low gear, four-wheel drive, and the engine races up, and he said, it's like, you know, putting on the brakes, and dangerous. And I will share this with you, Wally. We've had that car in our shop 3 different times over a month and a half or 2-month period. I personally drove that vehicle home. I personally have put 40 miles on that vehicle, as well as my team that have put more on it. And we've never gotten that vehicle to act up with us. And he brought it in twice, and we did service it. We did the very same thing that your dealer had did, and I'll be honest with you, we never did find the challenge or the problem. I know that's not what you want to hear, but we didn't find the problem with that vehicle either. So we're in the same boat as you. Now, having said that, the car quit doing it. Now, I say it quit because I haven't talked to the doctor. He's had other cars in, but I haven't talked to him in a year now with regard to that particular problem. And we have had that car back in for other services, not repairs, but normal maintenance items. And so what would cause that, and there are technical service bulletins and there are diagnostic steps and those sorts of things, or test procedures that we've gone through. So I would agree with what the dealer has done. That solenoid is a very a common item because it is what indeed causes that mechanical action. But that solenoid is controlled by electronics of the car. So there's got to be some phantom issue there. And for the first time, not the first time, but for the very few times I've agreed with the extended warranty folks, you know, to their end, they don't, as a rule, pay for diagnostic time. They'll replace a head gasket if you can, you know, if you know the head gasket's bad, or they'll replace the motor if you know the motor's bad. But if you just have a knock in the motor, they won't pay to diagnose that, because that's they do that, I think, obviously to cut their cost, but also, well, I don't really know why they do that. I think they should be part of the test procedures as well as the solution to replacing the hard part. But I think that would open up a lot of doors that would cost them a lot of money. But anyway, that's not our conversation. Our conversation is about what causes your Tundra to downshift and go into four-wheel drive. And I would agree with what the dealer has done. And let me ask this question: did what they have done make any difference whatsoever, or is it so erratic that you can't say?
It took 300 miles before it did it the second time.
There you
and
go.
They have it in the shop now, again, replacing a different solenoid.
Okay. Well, here's the only thing you can do, Wally, in reality. Stick with them, stay with them, and ultimately they'll repair what's necessary. Now, does the complete transmission need to be replaced? The answer to that is, in my mind, absolutely not. I think that's an overkill. And here's the real challenge. Let's say that they have an ambitious, very protective service department, and they want to protect you, and they call the company and say, okay, we found a problem, it's gear shavings, and we're going to replace the unit. We're not quite sure, but we're going to do it anyway because we're going to do the right thing, and it's their nickel. So they do that, and then your wife drives another 300 miles and it happens again. That would really cause some issues with the dealer and your extended service provider and you.
And me.
And you, exactly. And that's what the really boils, what's in it for you. This is the bottom line. It's what you paid for. So I'm going to say, in my heart of hearts, stay with them, be patient, and ultimately they will find the challenge. But I'll ask you to do this. When you do stay with them, maybe 300 miles, maybe 1,000, maybe they'll have it this time. I would really appreciate it if you would call me back And rather than me telling you what was wrong, you tell me what they found. And make sure, Wally, make sure this, if they say, okay, we got it fixed, ask them exactly what they did. Get a copy of the repair order, which is your right. Ask for a copy of the repairs as sent to your aftermarket extended warranty. Or it doesn't have to be aftermarket. It can be just dealers. It doesn't matter there. But anyway, so that you'll know what caused that problem, because I can tell you, I want to know what caused that problem myself, because you just hit home with me. You got it?
Well, I will do that. And they are baffled mainly because they said this never happens to a Toyota Tundra at that mileage.
Well, probably, very few, but again, I have one customer that has a Toyota Tundra that has 430,000 miles on it, and at 298,000 we put a transmission in it, but he never had that problem. But we did have that problem with another Toyota product that was a Lexus, so it's a lot of that's the same running gear anyway. Okay, my friend, I'll turn it back to you, and I would really appreciate when you get to the other side of this repair. And folks, if you're listening out there, we've got here's a challenge: a 2013 Toyota Tundra 4x that automatically, phantomly, erratically goes into four-wheel drive low going down the highway. Is that correct, Wally?
That is correct.
Okay, all right, my friend. I thank you for your call. I wish I had the solution, but in this case, I don't. And I thank you for your confidence. I look forward to hearing from you again.
Thank you, and have a good day.
Thank you. Yeah, right back at you. So, well, see, and I thought I knew everything that was to know. Well, between me and you and the technicians in the world and the manufacturers, we do know everything there is to know about cars. But to collectively get all that together and repair a specific vehicle at a specific time, there is the trick. We're going to take a call from Ben in Texas after the break. So, Ben, I'm going to ask you for your patience. We've got a short time coming up. I don't want to interfere. I will say this. The top 6 best-selling cars sold, and this is on motorcar.com in 2017, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Honda Civic, Toyota Camry, Toyota Corolla, Honda Accord, Nissan Sentra, Nissan Altima. That's unbelievable. When I come back, a little more, and you're called at 888 Car Clinic. Folks, it's time for another question from the Car Clinic inbox. Dear Bobby, I have 3 older vehicles, all with over 200,000 miles. 2 have fuel injection, and 1 has a carburetor. What can I do to help keep these vehicles on the road? Preventive maintenance will keep any vehicle running well. Checking fluids like engine oil, power steering, brake, transmission, and coolant. Be mindful of cracks or frays on belts, and be sure to keep your tires properly inflated. You might also consider treating the fuel system. Berryman's B12 Chem Tool High Mileage Edge is made specifically for high mileage vehicle engines. It features Berryman's proprietary high-energy solvent technology, also called HEST, and it's designed to treat the entire fuel system. Berryman's B12 High Mileage Edge cleans fuel injectors, carburetors, intake valves, combustion chambers, fuel pump, tanks, and lines. Regular use will help improve fuel economy, restore power, reduce emissions, and helps to keep older vehicles running longer and better. All these benefits can be realized by just adding to your fuel tank at fill-up. It is fast, simple, and economical. Learn more at BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but morning's knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. So as I mentioned on the break there, before the break, top 6 best-selling cars. Over the years, competition with the motor vehicle market has really gotten stronger, and with the biggest companies now invested hundreds of millions of dollars each and every year, the world is enjoying, that would be us, brand new features and sleek new designs and the safety factors that I mentioned earlier in today's broadcast. Well, in 2017, the market was more competitive than ever. And here we had the Honda Civic, the Toyota Camry, Toyota Corolla, the Honda Accord, the Nissan Sentra, and the Nissan Altima as the top 6 cars sold on motorcar.com. Now, despite having 6 different cars in this list, there are only 3 manufacturers, as you see, with a number of recognizable brands. So in 2017, it looks like though the old favorites are still the best, and it's going to take something special to change for this year. Interestingly, all 3 manufacturers are originally Japanese, so this may also suggest something about the taste of the U.S. consumer as we see it. How very interesting that is. I'm going to take a call from Texas, and then in the queue coming up is Hugh Milne, who is the marketing manager for General Motors on their Silverado truck. And then I'll take your calls at 888-227-2546. And just so you'll know, this weekend is the North American International Auto Show in Detroit. And so there's a lot of new, exciting vehicles on the market. In fact, the Infiniti concept car was really turning heads, and I tuned in online early this morning and took a look at that vehicle, and it doesn't look like a car. It looks like a concept of a car. Well, I guess that's what concepts are, but it looks like a little toy model, electric, no real doors. It looks like somebody blew up it looks like a Nerf balloon car. You know what I'm saying? That rounded look, and so I don't know what designers are trying to do, but they're trying to find that unique new curve or what have you. Cadillac, recently or in the last 10 years has gone edgy, and they went so edgy that to me they went bladey. I didn't really care for it. Now they're softening the curves. So it's going to be, I have some questions that I'm going to ask Hugh, but first, let's go to Texas and take a call from Ben. Hey, Ben, thanks for your patience. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Yeah, hello, Bobby. I'll make it quick. I've got a 2003 Ford F-150. It has a small V8, I think 4.6.
Okay.
The problem is when I turn the key on, the speedometer will go to 38 miles an hour. And it just stays there. It never changes. If I'm on a long road trip,
right,
say 200 or 300 miles,
right,
it might come on for a little while, and then the first time you turn the key off, it's back to the 38 miles an hour.
Got it. Well, that I don't know I don't know when you tuned in this morning, but I was talking about a door lock actuator and having to reprogram the body control module or the new door lock actuator and introduce it to the body control module. So the body control module controls all that. So Ben, in my heart of hearts, I believe that you have a speedometer cluster issue. That means the speedometer itself. But that speedometer is powered up by the body control module. So as the owner of the automobile, there's not a lot that you can do. But there is one avenue before you spend a lot of money on diagnostic times and testing times. And quite candidly, I don't know of any ironclad test that would tell you or me that unit is bad. I know that we spend no less than 1 hour initially to test an electronic circuit in cars. But I can categorically say that almost without exception, that 1 hour that we spend on our customer's initial complaint ends up taking us 2 more hours, and sometimes half a day that we never charge the customer for, because we think, well, we should be able to find this. And ultimately, when you do find it, it's like the needle in the haystack. The real challenge here is, how small is the needle? Well, that's pretty small. And how large is the haystack? So, it's like somebody said, well, Bobby, what will you charge me to remove the needle from the haystack? Nothing. Not a penny. But I will charge you by the hour to find it. Hey, wait a minute. How long is that going to take? So here's what I want you to do, Ben, and here's what the only suggestion that I have. Well, no, not the only one. I have 2 suggestions. One, disconnect the battery from your vehicle, the negative side, and wait. Well, actually, you can disconnect both battery cables. Disconnect the negative battery cable first, and then the positive. And you know why that is?
No.
Because if you were to disconnect the positive first, and the wrench that you were using to turn the bolt on the battery were to touch a grounding part, or your ring or your watch or whatever, you could short out. So if you disconnect the negative side of the battery and your wrench accidentally hits a part of the car, it doesn't matter because it's already grounded anyway. So you always disconnect the negative side first, and now the battery is totally disconnected from the car, or at least there's no connectivity because the negative is lit. Then you disconnect the positive, because if your wrench hits anything, it doesn't matter because the negative side of the battery is already disconnected. You see where I'm going?
Well, yeah. I mean, I've done it backwards a few times, and I know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Now.
So for everyone listening, that is the first thing. And now, if you drive an Audi or Mercedes or some of the later model automobiles, you don't even put a battery in the car yourself. You take it to a shop because you have to introduce the new battery to the car, or the alternator won't work correctly. So that's a lot to think about. So don't think about it. Just if your car needs a battery, let your shop put it in. Having said that, for your 03 F-150, disconnect the negative side. Then I want you to take the positive side cable off as well. Now you've got both cables that you're holding in your hand, and they're not hooked to anything. Touch those cables together. When you do that, you will remove any keep alive RAM or memory or settings. Now you're going to lose your radio settings, you're going to lose your mirror settings. No big deal. This is not an issue, not a problem. And then what that will do is that will kind of put your car back into the learn state. Then you put the positive cable back on first to the battery. Now you put the negative cable back on last, and then secure it, make sure it's secure, and then turn the key on, fire the car up, and go drive it and see what happens. And if I fixed your vehicle for you, I just saved you $1,000 or $500 or whatever. If I didn't, then you go to a service shop and say, here's a problem I have, and that's when you start exchanging time for money. You got it?
Okay, well, I don't need to drive it. I'll know as soon as I turn the key on, because as soon as you turn the key on, it goes 38 miles an hour.
Well, you will know. You can do that. You can go out and do that now and call me back.
All right, well, I'll do it.
All right. Now remember, negative first and negative last.
Negative, I got it wrote on my list. Negative first, negative last.
All right, buddy. All right, see ya.
Okay.
Let's go to Kenny in Nebraska and take a call from Kenny. But first, Hugh Milne is with us, and he's in the queue. He's been in the queue, so he's on the floor at the Cabo Hall in Detroit. Hugh Milne is the Silverado marketing manager for General Motors. I want to welcome Hugh to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Hugh, glad to have you in the house.
Oh, thanks, Bobby. It's a pleasure to be here.
You know, Chevrolet trucks are celebrating the brand's centennial anniversary, as I understand, and during the past 100 years, Chevrolet's built more than 85 million trucks. Now, Chevrolet's showing off the all-new, from the ground up, as I understand, redesigned 19 Chevrolet Silverado 1500 in Detroit this week. So share with us information about this new 2019 model.
Well, you touched on the customer piece and celebrating 100 years. And one of the things that we did that's a little bit unique and different for the reveal of this truck, we did it off-site Saturday night. And in addition to media, we invited 250 of our Truck Legends members that are, our most loyal customers, and had them attend. So it was just a lot of fun, a lot of energy to share it with our customers at the same time we did the media. So just nice validation for us that, hey, we hit the mark with our customers. And based on the initial response from the design, the images that we posted out there, the feedback's just been incredible.
So, Hugh, talk about the capability and the performance of this truck. Can this truck perform both on the job site and to the store and back, day-to-day driving?
Absolutely. From a capability standpoint, every single one of our trucks is designed to be dependable and capable, right? That's the essence and the core DNA of what our trucks are. What's kind of cool that we've done with the 2019 Silverado, if you look at the current generation of truck, we have some great, variations in our trim levels, and we've done some really cool special editions allowing our customers to personalize. But with the 19, we actually go to 8 different trim levels, and they're everything from a work truck on the lower end all the way up through our heart of the market LT is really kind of the volume piece, and our high country on the top end. So from a customer perspective, each one of these trim levels have a little different look to it, right? The work truck is all about getting work done, but you get into, the mid-level, and, it seems like chrome is always, love or hate type thing. So we've got a nice mix of trucks with some chrome on it, trucks with body color. So for customer shopping, they're actually able to get, pick their choice of vehicle for what they want and the one that fits their lifestyle.
Got it. Sounds great. Hugh Milne, Chevrolet Silverado Marketing Manager. So, Hugh, will Chevrolet offer a range of different engines and transmission combos to meet the different demands of the pickup truck buyer?
Absolutely. We'll have up to 6 different powertrains, and a couple of things that people are really excited about is we're going to have our first light-duty Duramax diesel that'll be available in this truck. And then we do something today called active fuel management, where we're able to take a V8 engine and run it on 6 cylinders or 4 cylinders, depending on, demand and efficiency for how customers are using it. Going forward with our new V8s, we'll actually be able to vary it from 8 cylinders all the way down to 1 if necessary. So we go to what we're calling dynamic fuel management that allows us complete control over the engine cylinder activation.
Now, you really piqued my interest. I won't get into the technical terms, but here we have an 8-cylinder, and we're cruising down the highway at 65 miles per hour, and this engine will, depending on the load, of course, be triggered and run on 1 cylinder. Is that what you said?
It could. It could go from, we could take it from 8 all the way down to 1, depending on the needs. Well, so you think about people's driving habits. If you don't need the power, we'll shut off. There's no sense to be firing the cylinder and burning gas.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Hugh, when will the new Silverado make its way to the local dealers nationwide?
They'll start seeing them this fall.
Sounds good. And one last question, a website so that our Car Clinic listeners and viewers can learn more about the new 2019 Chevrolet Silverado.
Chevrolet.com pretty much has all things Chevrolet, and we'll have a link right there for them to click on. You get to see all the pictures of all 8 trim levels and find out some more information about the truck, because there's a lot of new things with it, inside, outside, and certainly in the bed area where the work gets done.
Thank you so much, Hugh. Hugh Milne, Chevrolet Silverado Marketing Manager from the International Auto Show in Detroit. Thanks for joining us and sharing information about this new exciting truck today on Bobby Likis Car Clinic, Hugh.
Thank you.
That's pretty cool to be able to communicate there in real time and understand what's going on and get a picture of that. And you get a chance, go to gm.com or Chevrolet.com, any of those websites, and that will lead you to more information. That's a North American International Auto Show in Detroit. Let's go to Nebraska from Detroit. Well, actually, let's go to Nebraska from the center of the automotive universe here in Bobby Likis Car Clinic at Car Clinic. Kenny, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you join us.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm just fine, thank you. How about yourself?
Good, good. I have an interesting dilemma. I have a 2010 Nissan Titan.
Okay.
And if it gets below 30 degrees out, it will not start.
Right.
Now, it will crank all day until you run the battery down.
Yeah, that's bad.
But I have learned, and they've had it at the mechanic shop 3 or 4 times. They've actually replaced the battery a couple times. They've replaced something to do in the electronics. But I have learned that if I go out and it doesn't start, I'll immediately either hook jumper cables to it or I'll hook a battery charger to it and put it on boost. And within 10 seconds, it'll start up every time. So it is perplexing. But like I said, you can sit there and crank it until you run the battery down, and it will not start. But if you put that extra little bit of juice to it, by the time you get in the truck from hooking it up, it'll start right up.
Okay. Here's what I want you to do. From a Nissan Titan standpoint, I am not sure, nor do I ever remember seeing any technical service bulletins. However, having said that, I had an issue recently with an automobile that had a cranking problem. Now, you don't have a cranking problem, you have a starting problem. But we found that the engine block cable, the ground cable, was the fault. So I'm going to say to you, we know in the process of all that they've done to your car that the battery cables, terminals at the battery are probably okay. So let's forget about the terminals at the battery. I want you to go to of course you have to take the negative side loose of the battery. I want you to take the negative cable loose from and away from the engine block where it is currently attached and buff that area with a wire brush, and then put some kind of a dielectric compound and re-secure the ground of that battery at the point of the engine where it's bolted. It could be bolted on the back or the front, I'm not sure. And then hook it back up on the battery and do nothing else but clean that ground, and then I want you to call me back, but it'll have to be next show because that's the end of this hour. Thanks for tuning in, folks. I'm Bobby Likis.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Diablo Sport tuning systems give you the ability to easily boost your vehicle's power without even popping the hood. But don't take my word for it. PSCA racer Alex Rosio has been using Diablo Sport products on her Dodge Magnum since the beginning of her racing career. According to Alex, Diablo Sport tuners have been an essential part of her success. There really isn't a better line of products that offer quick tuning and diagnostics. Learn more at DiabloSport.com. And while you're there, check out the new Intune i3 Performance Programmer. That's DiabloSport.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the Kulseford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulseford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with sniffed like new condition lemals. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's Vehicle Protection Program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll-free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And I want to welcome you to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Some 26 years I've been in this seat. Of course, a lot of times over the years, this seat has been on a remote broadcast or certainly away from the center of the automotive universe, which is right here in our service shop. And our service shop is a 15,000 square foot automotive full service bumper to bumper facility. And we work on everything that rolls. I mean, we're not choosy. Well, I guess we are choosy, but we choose to help any one that is looking for quality service and understands that there should be a relation, because you have to trust the shop, and the shop has to trust that you give us the information about your automobile. Not what's wrong, just what it's doing that you don't like. And so just remember that when you go to a shop, you don't go in and say, my car is not running right, it needs a new coil. You say, my car doesn't, here's what my car does that I don't like, and what will you charge me to perform a test on it and give me an estimate. So that's the way the dialogue should go. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you this morning in part by the Car Care Council. If you're traveling this winter season, remember to follow the 3 P's. Prepare, prevent, and plan to save money and avoid breakdowns. What a cool thought. Learn more at carcare.org. Your calls at 888 Car Clinic when I come back. Folks, being car care aware is important all year round, but winter is an especially critical time as harsher conditions can put strains on your vehicle. Here are a few items to check, courtesy of the Car Care Council. Your vehicle's tires keep you rolling down the proverbial highway. This time of year, it's smart to check tread depth before driving on icy roads, and you may want to consider special winter tires. Check tire pressure weekly during the winter, as every 10-degree drop in temperature causes a 1-pound decrease in tire pressure. Check your exhaust system for carbon monoxide leaks, as windows are more likely to be closed during this time of year. It's also a great idea to keep your gas tank half full, as this will help avoid moisture buildup in the gas lines, which could ultimately freeze this time of year. For more great tips, videos, and recommended service schedules, visit carcare.org. And while you're there, order your free copy of the Car Care Guide for your glove compartment. That's carcare.org.
O'Reilly. When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Lung cancer kills more people than breast, colon, and prostate cancers combined. And 80% of those diagnosed with lung cancer never smoked or quit decades ago. If you or someone you know has lung cancer, the Bonnie J. Adario Lung Cancer Foundation can help. Text the word lungs to 50555 to help lung cancer patients and to fund the research needed to find a cure for the world's deadliest cancer. Go to lungcancerfoundation.org for more information.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at lendingtree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And now back to you at 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. We have a couple of calls in the queue, and we'll take yours. We have several more spots to fill. So now is the best time. Please don't wait till the end of the hour to try to cram your call in and get an answer. Let's go to Tom without further ado and get started. Tom, you're first in, so you're first up. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I got two. I have one question, and then I also have a follow-up question from a previous caller I just heard.
Yeah, okay.
My first question is concerning tire pressure, and here's what I'm wanting to know. A while back, I bought a 2008 half-ton GMC pickup truck. Now, when I bought it, it came with the little bitty stock tires that they put on that thing from the factory.
Mm-hmm.
And what it says on the side of the door jamb and on the tire was about 40 to 45 pounds of PSI. But now since then, I've upgraded the tires and I put a bigger tire on there. Now I run the tires at about 65 pounds of air pressure because when I put 45 pounds of air pressure in it, they just look low. So I'm wondering, because a friend of mine says that now because I'm putting more air into the tire, I'm running the risk of wearing unnecessary tire wear on that thing. And also I've got those warning lights coming off on my dash, because it has those tire air pressure sensors in the system. And, it's like when I'm going down the road, it's like check tire pressure things going out. So I was just wondering, am I okay by running those bigger tires at 65 pounds of air pressure, or should I put those things back down to about 40 or 45, what it recommends on the door jamb there?
Okay, first things first. The tire pressure reading that is listed on the side wall of the tire should never be used, never be blown that hard. That tire pressure is a DOT, Department of Transportation code, like a building code. For instance, if a hurricane came through, which it did on the Gulf Coast, and we have to rebuild a building, the building code says that new building must withstand 120 mile per hour forces, or 130, whatever that code is. So and just remember, on any tire, whether it's your car or James's Astro, who is on the phone as well, coming up, or any car, the more air you put in a tire, the more its belly pushes out, like it's centered.
Okay.
The less pressure, the more the shoulders, like you hunched over your shoulders, the edges of the tire push out. So the proper pressure for a specific tire is determined by the design of that tire and the manufacturer of that automobile. And that tire pressure will be on the door jamb, on the original VIN, on the decal on the door jamb, or in the glove compartment, and in some General Motors under the console lid or the glove compartment door. Now, having said that, if you change from one design tire to another, by all means, the proper inflation for that particular tire could be higher, and is higher than, in your case, than the original smaller tires. So you don't want to put the pressure according to the wall because, let me back up. So the code says that the maximum load of your tire, let's say you got a 4,000 pound vehicle and you have 4 tires, then each tire would have to support at least 1,000 pounds, but there has to be room for error and headroom, it's called, just like on a bridge. If a bridge can support 1,000,000 pounds, because that's how much weight you could put on it with semi trucks crossing, you wouldn't build a bridge that would hold 1 million pounds. You'd build a bridge that would hold 5 million pounds, so you would have headroom. You see where I'm going there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the tire listing on the sidewall of your tire is the maximum amount of load that tire can sustain and support given the maximum amount of pressure. So you put in 1,000 pounds and it takes 40 psi, but you got 1,200 pounds. Well, you can go up to 45 because when you put more weight, it caves in the middle of the tire, so you got to push the tire back out. You put more weight, it caves in the tire. So you went from 1,200 to 1,300. Now you put 1,500 pounds of pressure on that one tire because you've got extra load in the car, and it takes 52 pounds of air pressure to sustain that much more load. Well, how far do you push that envelope? That envelope is what that reading gives you. Maximum of 68 psi, which will support 2,200 pounds of load. You see where I'm going there? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So you don't go there because you never max out a tire's load. So that's why you use the decal. So how do you determine proper pressure? Number one, you start with what the tire manufacturer recommends for your car, given it's a larger tire, and the construction of the tire, whether it's a truck tire with 10-ply sidewalls and what have you. That's what determines that, and you do that by you can go to companies like TireRack.com or ask your local tire shop dealer. Now, having said that, Tom, ultimately, and this is a key point, folks, so pay attention. Ultimately, only after you drive 2,000 to 5,000 miles and you measure the tread depth of your new tire and the tread depth of the tire after 2,000 to 5,000 miles on the center tread, the outside tread, and the inner tread, can you determine the proper air pressure for your particular automobile, because the tire, if you had too much pressure, will wear its belly, its center section. If it had not enough pressure, it would wear the inside and outside. Now, obviously, if you have the correct pressure and that tire wore on the outside only, you got a car that's out of alignment. So that is why tread depth and pressure is so valuable. Now, so you understand where I'm going?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I do. I just never realized it was that complicated.
It is that complicated. If you want to do it right, and to that end, a Mini Cooper that recommends 33 psi on all four wheels will need 36 on the front and 30 on the rear. That's how far off the factory setting is for in-town standard driving. I know because we owned one for 48,000 miles, and I, through these specific measurements, got 20% more wear out of both the original tire and the replacement tire than anyone that I know, including the sales director for Cooper Tires, because I posed this question when I met him at SEMA one year. He had a Mini Cooper. He said, you get 20,000 miles. That's it, 20,000. I got 24 on the first set. I got 24 on the second set. Now, so that's enough about tire pressure, but that's how complicated it is. But really, the complicated factor is learning what to do, because a digital tread depth gauge with a digital readout costs $6 on Amazon. I know because I just ordered 6 of them as a surprise, and my crew doesn't even know this, but Monday or Tuesday I'll get these 6 digital gauges in that measure the tread depth, so that you don't have to worry about using that little $2 mechanical part. It's digital. Now, let's talk about your tire pressure monitoring system. You have what's called an indirect tire pressure monitoring system on that vehicle. You don't have monitors in each wheel. And here, but you do have ABS, which is an anti-lock brake system. An ABS system has a speedometer in all 4 wheels, to check the speed of each wheel.
Okay.
So what you have is, and it's called rollout, and I'll be short on this. If I took a bowling ball that is, I don't know, do you bowl? How big is a man's bowling ball?
16 pounds.
Okay, and then a woman's bowling ball is what? 12?
I guess.
I mean they're
okay.
smaller. Okay. Now, and a child's bowling ball, it might be 8 inches in diameter, right?
Okay.
Okay. So if you put a child's bowling ball next to an adult's bowling ball, and you at the same starting point, and you roll them one revolution, that's called roll out. The child's bowling ball might roll 1.5 feet. The adult would roll 2.5 feet. Granted?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you took the same tire and put 30 pounds in it and rolled it one revolution, it would roll 3 feet. If you took the same tire and put 40 pounds, it would roll 3.5 feet, because the more pressure you put in, the bigger it gets. Got it? That's called rollout. And with cars that have indirect tire pressure monitoring systems, they use the car's existing ABS or speedometer, and they measure the revolutions of the tire and the speed, and if there's a differential exceeding a threshold, they said this tire has too low of a pressure in it, and that's how it works. And that's why your light is on. I know it's complicated, and that's what I'm here for. We recently sat down with Johnson Controls Global Brand Manager Joe Meyer to discuss the advantages of AGM batteries, including which vehicles are the best candidates for this type of battery. Let's hear from Joe.
Well, there are many different types of everyday vehicles that could be a good candidate, from soccer moms to landscape vehicles to different types of hot rods that really would work well with an AGM battery. Many of these vehicles include extensive electrical features, which really place greater emphasis on the demand for the battery. Additionally, if you purchase aftermarket accessories, such as infotainment systems or even lights, you may require a more advanced battery, such as our AGM. Lastly, where and how you drive your vehicle can really impact the battery performance. So for example, if you live in a climate that gets really hot or cold during our summers or winters, our AGM battery will perform better than standard flooded batteries under these conditions.
AGM batteries help meet the electrical demands put on today's cars. Learn more at autobatteries.com. Car repairs can get expensive, and most folks don't have spare money laying around for them. That's where brands like K-Seal can really be a lifesaver. A vehicle recently came into our car clinic service shop and was using a lot of coolant. A test showed an internal coolant leak, head gaskets likely. This was an older vehicle, so there was definitely some question as to whether it was worth the fix, as repairs could easily cost a few $1,000s. The car was still nice and safe, and the customer was not particularly ready to buy another vehicle. From our past experience and our car clinic listener stories, we poured a bottle of K-Seal into the cooling system, topped off the level, and took it for a test drive and let it cool. The owner continued to drive the car for a week or so, checking the coolant level daily, and pretty soon the level stabilized. K-Seal did the trick. That was several months ago, and it's still holding. In this case, K-Seal turned a coolant leak casualty into a cash saver. You can pick up K-Seal at automotive retailers everywhere and learn more about K-Seal at kseal.com. That's kseal.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip.
From Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment. Let's go right back to Tom And Tom and I were talking about the tire pressure monitoring systems and what have you. So Tom, the moral of the story, and folks, is that the more pressure you have in your tire, the bigger it gets. And the bigger the circumference of the tire, as in the bowling ball comparison, means that for every single revolution, it covers more ground. That's why if you put bigger tires on your car, your speedometer is in error, because the speedometer thinks that it had small tires, and that when the tire has to turn fewer revolutions to go the same mileage, the speedometer doesn't know that. So the speedometer is still calibrated, and so those are the parts of it. Now, Tom, so here's the point. You want to make sure that, in your case, you want to make sure the easy thing to do is to check all the pressures in your tires, cold or hot, doesn't matter. With the car off the ground, the vehicle off the ground, take a tape measure and measure the circumference of the tire. And make sure that they're within like a quarter of an inch. And if you got a tire that's a half to 3/4 of an inch bigger around circumference-wise with the same pressure, the tire is not the same size. You see where I'm going there? And,
Yes,
if that tire is not the same size, the other 3 tires are going spin, 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 and the big tire is going, hey, I'm just trotting here. It's like me at 5'7.5" trying to jog with a 6'5" guy. I'm running my legs off, and he's just kind of just easing along. That's what that's all about. Now, enough about that, except that that's the difference between a direct tire pressure monitoring system that has a gauge in the tire and an indirect that measures the speed of the tire as compared to the rest of the speeds of the rest of the tires. And when one tire seems to have to be chasing, if it's a little short guy and it's running like a 5'5" and it's running its legs off to keep up with the other 3, the computer says, hey, we got a low tire here, but that pressure has to exceed 6 psi before that ever happens. Otherwise, the lights will be going on and off all the time because tires pressure goes up and down a lot. Now, having said that, you had a statement about a previous caller, and I've got a phone full of bank of calls, so share with us your other question quickly.
Yes, sir. A couple of callers ago, you explained to the individual how you can clear a computer's memory by disconnecting the battery and then rubbing the battery cables together. And what I was wondering is what that individual was trying to fix by doing that. And second of all is, will that screw up the chip in the ignition key?
No, it will not. What that does, when you change a battery in a car, you're supposed to, the proper way to change a battery is to hook up a 9-volt or 10-volt sub battery, so that the car never thinks the battery is out of the car. And okay. I've done that on my car. I hooked up a jumper cable to a regular jump box to my remote start buttons on my car, and I didn't put any load on it. I just did it there so that when I took the battery cables loose from my main battery in my car, the car didn't know it because it still had voltage supplied to the same settings. Now, having said that, you can't touch the cables together when you've got another auxiliary source. So that's putting 2 different scenarios together. What I was speaking of to try to erase the car's memory was to repair or at least to see if it would reset a body control module, or in his case, he had a speedometer that would, when he turned the key on, it would peg the gauge or go to 38 miles per hour or 32, whatever he said. So in my car, one of my cars is a 2013 Jag, and one time I had a DVD stuck in the controller, and so the factory says, well, disconnect the battery and put the 2 terminals together with no other outside source. And then what that does is that will absorb any random memory that's left there. It will not damage anything, but it will cause the car to go back into a learn mode as it was when it was a virgin, when it was first manufactured. You got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, Tom, nice to talk with you. Where are you from in Arizona?
A little town called Prescott, about halfway between Phoenix and Flagstaff.
Well, thanks for calling. It's nice talking to you today, and I hope that I was of some help to you. And be safe and take care of your car, and stay tuned. Call me again.
Yes, sir. And I enjoy your show very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Let's take a call from James. James, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
Yes, Bobby. Always enjoy listening to your show, and nice talking with you.
Appreciate that.
Just a quick question, really pertaining to vehicle warranties. Let me explain my situation right quick. I have a 2005 Chevy Astro. Transmission went bad.
Okay.
You have three parties: the transmission company, you have my repair shop,
yes,
and then now you have my rental company. And I'm in a situation where I never had this happen to me before, Bobby, and I want your input on this, because if you were in this situation, how would you handle it?
Okay.
The situation is the transmission company is now calling my auto repair place saying that they want tests on my oil, so my vehicle repair shop sends them the oil. They want parts of the transmission, so they send them the parts of the transmission. It's not like a 2 or 3 day situation here. This is like going on the third week. There's a problem here. I mean, usually you're supposed to be able to take care of something within a amount of time, I thought.
Okay, then my question...
do I have even a chance to recoup on my rental?
That's a great question. It's a great scenario, and that has happened to yours truly. Don't know exactly the same circumstances, but let me say this, James. Did the extended aftermarket or extended warranty company approve of the transmission replacement before they proceeded to replace it?
Well, that's the question. Here's where I did send in the correct paperwork. My repair shop saw that. The day that I had it installed, I sent it that same day. I have a 3-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and about a year and a half into that warranty, the transmission went.
Okay. So are you dealing with the transmission supplier or with your extended warranty company?
The extended warranty, the person who the repair people bought the transmission from.
Okay.
That's where my situation is.
So if Car Clinic bought a transmission from John, and or John's transmission, which is a national firm, it's not, but I'm just made that up, and I put it in your vehicle, and you put a year and a half on it, and then that transmission failed.
And I do have a warranty on it.
You do have a warranty. However, it is common for transmission replacements to demand that after 3,000 miles or 5,000 miles or 2 months or something, in the print, that you have to change the fluid in that transmission after it's installed in the vehicle. Even though it has new fluid, you have to follow the guidelines. And do you know if that was a guideline?
I did my usual routine of having my vehicle's fluids checked, so I do have that as well.
Okay, but you have it checked. But here's what you need to know. All right, here's the bottom line. From a legal standpoint and honoring a contract, and you've got a contract. You first got a contract with the service shop because you didn't choose the company of the transmission supplier. They did. You approved of the invoice and your cost, and they then installed the transmission and gave you the paperwork for the transmission's warranty. What you need to know is, and if you have that original paperwork, which you should,
yes,
if there's any requirement for any services performed and when. That's the first question. After the new transmission was installed, a rebuilt or remanufactured transmission was installed. That's number one. Number two, if they said, okay, you put the transmission in 100,000 miles, and after the transmission is installed, within 5,000 miles you have to service it again. If you did that, then
correct.
Then the shop should replace the transmission, and the transmission supplier should give the shop another transmission, and the labor is between that company and the shop, not you.
Correct. And then my situation, though, is now it's going back and forth to where they're still arguing about it, and now I'm paying a rental fee, as you can see, for 3 weeks now instead of 1 or 2 days.
Then, James, you must put the pressure on the shop that you paid to replace the transmission, because it was a contract between you and the shop. You didn't choose the supplier that you dealt with. You went to the doctor, and the doctor bought an implant from from a company, your deal is not with the company, your deal is with the doctor. So the doctor is the shop. So that's who is supposed to step up. And for my case, ironically, we have cars in the shop, not all the time, but we have one right now that we offered our customer, because we've had this car already a week or 10 days, a rental car. Just this Friday, he said, no, my daughter is out of town. I'm driving her car. I'm okay. But we offered that. So your shop needs to step up and take care of your transportation in the meantime. You got it?
I do appreciate your patience with me explaining my situation.
It's good. It's good. Good. Thanks for your call, James. Okay, next up is Victor from New York. Victor, I'm in a time crunch here, but that's okay. So Gary and Carolyn, please stay there. Victor, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Bob, I just was going to thank you for the advice you gave me. You're a genius. 3 years, nobody could figure out what's wrong with my car until you told me what to do. And it starts up like a champ. I called about 3 weeks ago. The car wouldn't start in the winter time.
Yes.
You told me to turn the ignition on 5 times, wait 5 seconds, and then try it. And it starts up like a champ. It just takes a few minutes, but I don't have a problem with it at all now.
Well, I certainly
I
certainly appreciate you ringing me back, and that it confirms, and it feels great to know that I helped you, and also that information is really valuable to your service provider to repair what's causing this problem, because the very challenge that you're having with this vehicle, if you're priming the pump, which is what you're doing, proves that you have a fuel check valve or a pressure regulator check valve or a fuel pump issue or a leaking injector, and the shop can take action. Having said that, if you cycle the key 5 times on those particularly cold days and it's working for you, then you don't have to spend the money. You know what to do to make it get beyond its little hard cold cranking. Victor, thank you so much for calling me back. I really appreciate that, man.
I enjoy your show very much. So.
Thank you very much. Thanks for getting back. That's pretty cool. We have Gary, I have Carolyn, I also have Al Oppenheiser. I think, I hope I didn't murder his name. Oppenheiser. He's a Chevrolet Camaro chief engineer. So there are 3 people in the queue, and I come back, I'll take your calls. Folks, stay tuned. What a great, enjoyable program we're having on Likis. Being car care aware is important to all year round, but winter is an especially critical time as harsher conditions can strain your automobile. Here are a few items to check, courtesy of the Car Care Council. Winter means shorter days and longer nights. It's a great time to make sure interior and exterior lights are working properly, and don't forget to make sure your headlights are properly aimed. This item is often overlooked. The best way to warm up your engine in the winter is to drive gently at the start. Make sure your ice scraper and snow brush are accessible, and replenish your emergency kit. Jumper cables, a flashlight, blankets, extra clothes, bottled water, non-perishable food, and a first aid kit with any medication that may be needed. It may seem like a lot, but better safe than sorry. For more great tips, videos, and recommended service schedules, visit carcare.org. And while you're there, order a free copy of the Car Care Guide for your glove compartment. That's carcare.org.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Great program today and more exciting car news from the North American International Auto Show in Detroit. With me on the Car Clinic hotline now is Al Oppenheiser, Chevrolet Camaro Chief Engineer. Get this, folks. We're going to learn today a lot about what's going on at GM. Al, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house.
Thank you, Bobby, and thanks for having me on.
The Chevrolet performance lineup, led by the Camaro and the Corvette, have turned a lot of heads in the automotive industry. And heading into 2018, share with our Car Clinic listeners and viewers what you're most excited about on the Chevrolet performance front.
Well, the Chevrolet performance cars, as you say, have never been better. Very healthy. Last year, we introduced the Camaro ZL1 1LE, which was the fastest track Camaro we've ever done. And sitting right next to it, his big brother, is the new ZR1 Corvette with a 755 horsepower engine.
Well, with the recently revealed 2019 Corvette ZR1, and as I understand, the 2018 Camaro Hot Wheels 50th Anniversary Edition due out this spring, they've generated a lot of interest among enthusiasts and consumers. Give us the 30,000-foot view of what makes these vehicles so special.
Well, these vehicles, I always say, they're not vehicles that people need. They're vehicles that people want. They're a purchase of passion. And when you can find the passion where it meets the customer demand, for instance, our 50th anniversary celebration of the Hot Wheels, you know, most of us are old enough to have played with Hot Wheels growing up, and Mattel actually built 16 Hot Wheels 50 years ago, and the first one they built was a die cast of a 67 blue Camaro, and so they came to us and wanted to celebrate their 50 years in the business and partner up and do a Hot Wheels. Got this beautiful crush orange Hot Wheels that harkens back to the old Hugger orange.
I remember it well. As Chief Engineer, Al, for Camaro, share with our Car Clinic listeners and viewers some of what goes into designing and building a road and track-worthy performance vehicle like the Camaro.
Well, we've got a big legacy to live up to, so we're always trying to push the envelope. So we take what worked well in, say, the last generation, like the Z28 was a track monster, and we look at the good things that are in the current car, like the fact that we've taken over 250 pounds out of it from the last generation, and the power that's available. We shoot to be the best track Camaro ever, and of course it's a little bit pretentious for us to think we can compare ourselves to Porsche and BMW and McLaren and so on, but in reality we've come so far with performance that those are the vehicles that we're now being compared to, and in a lot of cases we're beating them on the track. So we've really done a great job putting our performance prowess to work.
So share with me, Al, and our listeners, have you actually had the Camaro out on the track yourself?
Absolutely. I spend a lot of time on the track. We've got guys that drive way better than I do. They could easily challenge professionals, but the thing that works for Camaro is that we've got a range of driving skill from mine, which probably matches up with most weekend race drivers and maybe some of the better media drivers, all the way up to guys that rival some of the professionals. And we get together as a performance team and talk about the vehicle ride and handling and performance attributes from each driver, and we make the best solution that works with anybody. Because if my ride and handling expert can go out and blister a Nürburgring lap, but the customer can't do it, that doesn't make it fun for the customer. They get scared to drive the car. So we make it approachable for anybody.
That's a good point. We're talking with Al Oppenheiser, Camaro Chief Engineer from the North American International Auto Show in Detroit. So, Al, another quick question. During these lap times, are the electronics fully engaged, or are they in stages? Are there different track settings?
There are. We actually leave it up to the driver preference. Most of the drivers, as you can imagine, turn everything off because they're purists. But we're getting to the point where technologies have advanced such that, like our 10-speed automatic transmission that comes in the ZL1, it's actually the fastest version of the ZL1 we make, faster than everything off, and call them the nannies, everything turned off. But for those that aren't expert drivers, you can dial in as much control, whether it's the traction or engine torque, as you need to feel safe at your performance level.
Well, just a couple of final questions. What's the horsepower rating, and if you don't mind sharing the compression ratio on the Camaro Hot Wheels edition?
The Hot Wheels comes in the 2LT and the 2SS. The 2LT is our Turbo 4 and our V6, and the 2SS is the LT1. They don't come in the high performance packages because it's just a special model with a lot of Hot Wheels badging and identifiers on it. The the Turbo is 275 horsepower, the V6 is 335 horsepower, and the V8 LT1 is 455 horsepower. Compression ratios is 11-1 on the V8. On the V6 2-liter turbo is 9.5-1. The V6 3.6-liter variable valve timing is 11.5-1. And I'm actually going to correct myself on the regular LT1 6.2 is also 11.5-1.
Wow. Well, with those kind of compression ratios, and especially folks realizing with the turbo, when you have beyond 8, 8.5, and 9.5, you're pushing the envelope because you have the pressure from the turbo and almost equal by the pressure from the compression ratio itself, the geometric compression ratio. So, Al, no wonder that these cars are competing so well on Nürburgring. So I want to congratulate you, and I know behind closed doors and in those meetings and the tool and die part, the design, GM and your team has done a fantastic job. But the Hot Wheels Anniversary Edition Camaro has to be to die for automobile. Where can our consumers or our listeners go for more information and maybe some pictures of that vehicle?
You can find pictures of the beautiful Crush Orange Hot Wheels Camaro on the Chevrolet.com website. You can also find it on the Mattel website under the Hot Wheels section. They've done a good job marketing the car for us. And your listeners can order one starting February 1st. We're ready to build them. There is no limit to what we'll build. We'll build as many as desirable. And I can tell you, 50 years doesn't happen very often for anything or anybody, and the fact that 50 years will end after this model year, it'd be a great one to buy and put in your collection.
Well, definitely appreciate your time. Al Oppenheiser, Camaro Chief Engineer from the North American International Auto Show in Detroit. Al, it was a pleasure talking with you, and I look forward to actually seeing one of the cars on the showroom floor and perhaps driving one. Thanks again for joining us on Bobby Likis Car Clinic today.
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you for having me on.
And now let's take a call from Gary in New York. Go from Detroit to New York. Gary, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you for holding.
Bobby, thank you for having your show on. It's very informative.
Appreciate that. What can I do for you?
Quick question. I use Royal Purple for the last 12, 15 years.
Okay.
I bought a newer truck, a Dodge Ram 1500 6-cylinder.
Right.
It's 520.
Mm-hmm.
And I have about 18 quarts of 530. I wonder if that's going to hurt if I put it in the truck.
Do not use the 530.
Okay.
It's here's the reason for the lower. Now, would it hurt something? Probably not. But the challenge that you have if you put an oil that is not recommended by the manufacturer and you happen to have some issue with the engine, then you could be liable. And you don't want to go there. I mean, it's cool to use, and it makes, it's frugal and it makes common sense, but just be kind to somebody that needs it and give it away or sell it or whatever you choose. But the reason for, and for you to know, Gary, the reason for the light viscosity oil on the new vehicle is to increase the gas mileage, number one, but also the tolerances of your new engine and your new Ram are tighter than preceding engines. And that's why when you have tinier crevices and tolerances and clearances, you have, that are, I call skinny. It's like opening a door. The bigger the person is, the more you got to open the door for the person to get through. Same thing is true for oil tolerances and crankshaft and rod bearing clearance tolerances. So I call it skinny oil. I've been chastised for that from some technicians because there's no such thing as skinny oil. Well, the point is how do you convey what something is technically to an audience and to other people? How do you communicate? So they can chastise me all they want, but if you got a skinny person, you don't have to open the door as far for that person to go in and out of the door as the heavier person. So, having said that, if you make an engine that's tighter tolerances, that engine will last longer, it will emit fewer emissions, but there's less room for the oil to flow. And here's a fact: oil pressure is resistance to flow. So you could take a worn out engine that used 30 viscosity oil, 10W30, and put 60 weight oil in it, and you'd have all the pressure in the world, but you wouldn't fix the engine. It's still worn out. So you have to match the viscosity of the oil with the tolerances as manufactured by the engineers of the engine. And so your car calls for your engine 020, use 020 and use it year round. Having said that, it's always universally, and this is a general answer, but always better to use synthetic oil, not because of the brand of the oil, but because the base stock of the oil, which is the 75 to 85% of all oil is the base stock, is synthetic. And the main difference between synthetic and conventional oil, and get this folks, the oil molecules of synthetic are all same size. The oil molecules of conventional are a hodgepodge of sizes. And if I had a basket of fruit and I had cherries and apples and oranges and watermelons and I tried to pour them out, I'd get clumpy, it wouldn't be smooth. But if I had all cherries, they would all pour out the same. Therefore, when you have the same size molecule as in synthetic oil, it flows more smoothly through the engine and effortlessly. And if you're in a cold climate or you're in a super hot climate, you need immediate oil and lubrication. And the only way you can get immediate is to have all of the oil molecules same size. That's why primarily synthetic oil superior to conventional motor oil. Hey, Gary, thanks for your call and thanks for holding.
I thank you, Stu. You have a great day.
You as well. And now we'll go to New York and take a call from Carolyn. Carolyn, I have to say thank you so much for your patience and your holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. At the same time,
it was wonderful. As a matter of fact, I have a quick story. I'll talk fast.
Okay, go ahead.
Story you just told about, is there really a 020 oil?
Oh, there's a 00.
Aye. Well, I have a story to tell you. I had a 1976 Ford van that I purchased in the fall of '75, and I had those rocker arms replaced 5 times because of the chirping, and the faster you'd go, the chirping would get faster, and then there'd be like a whine. Okay, I think about the third or fourth change I called Ford in Detroit. This is 1975, okay?
Right. Got it.
And they called the dealer, and the dealer called me, and so they finally did it. But I think the last time that I was there, the dealer said, the technician said, and this is not why I called, but I have to tell you the story because of the previous caller, use motorcycle oil. I used motorcycle oil for 14 years in that van, but I think it was the viscosity started at 5, I think, for motorcycle oil.
I don't know.
I think it was 5. But that's what I had to use, and the noise went away.
Well, two things thanks for sharing that story, and two things come to my mind. Number one, more than likely, because of the excessive and extreme heat conditions that motorcycles run under, that oil was probably synthetic, and during the 70s, more than 50% of Europeans use synthetic oil in their car. In the 70s, 2% of the American public used, roughly, and these aren't specific numbers, but they're darn close.
What year was that?
Not in the 70s. In the 70s, we didn't use synthetic oil because it cost $6 or $8 a quart, and you could buy oil for $1.50 a quart or $2. So somebody said, "Oh, I'm not using that expensive stuff in my car." So believe it or not, that motorcycle oil, I imagine, I don't know, but I imagine it was synthetic, and also the lighter viscosity allowed it to flow. And then last but not least, Carolyn, synthetic oil will clean better than conventional oil and run cleaner, and it keeps the pores clean and the arteries of your older engine clean. And with that, I got to go because we're out of time, so can you give me a 30-second follow-up on your clutch?
Yes. I just wanted to know, it chatters, not when I'm shifting into second from first, but if I'm downshifting, going around a corner. I certainly do not downshift to make the tack jump up. I'll downshift when it's at the proper speed, and it'll pick up, with the normal revs. So I just wanted to know, it slightly chatters,
okay.
shudder.
All right. Call me next week, and let's discuss it when we have proper time. Folks, that's all the time we have. Like us, you'll love us. Thanks for tuning in.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
We recently performed a brake job on a 2012 Ford Escape, and while there are several critical parts to an effective, safe, and lasting brake job, you should always start with a thorough cleaning. Using a quality aerosol brake cleaner will ensure that the surfaces are clean and residue-free. Our choice is Berryman's Chlorinated Brake Parts Cleaner, the first VOC-compliant chlorinated brake cleaner available in over 20 years. Berryman's Chlorinated Brake Parts Cleaner is the strongest carb-compliant brake cleaner on the market. It effortlessly dissolves brake fluid, brake dust, grease, motor oil, power steering fluid, and other harmful contaminants. And be sure to thoroughly clean both sides of the brake rotor and all metal-to-metal mounting points before you apply the silicone brake lube to sliders and contact points. Use Berryman's Chlorinated